Hello everyone, welcome back to the Spotlight. Today we're going to have a discussion about Ruben Amorim, the system, the fact that he needs to start winning games and his reliance on certain players and playing them out of position. So, what I want to say first of all is this is not an Amorim out video. I am actually still Amorim in. But, as I've been saying to my mates over the last couple of weeks, that the excuses are running out for him. He has to start winning football matches. There's so many stats and banter stats flying around about Ruben Amorim and Man United at the minute. It's a comedy. And most Manchester United fans are still believing that this is the way to go. But there's a couple of things that I think that Ruben needs to do. And one is he needs to stop talking so openly in press conferences. And this is not something I would normally say, because normally I want a manager to be open about players and what's going on and that lot. But he keeps saying these things and then we play a game and we don't deliver. He can't come out and say things like he said after the Fulham game about Bruno Fernandes having a poor game and stuff getting to his head and taking too much responsibility, and he has a bad game, but then he's still playing for 90 minutes. People will go on about Kobbie Mainoo not playing, potentially going to leave, one of our so-called best academy players. I think people are just on the Kobbie bandwagon because we're that bad in midfield, they're willing to try anything. I don't think Kobbie fixes that midfield. He don't, absolutely no chance. And as for Kobbie Mainoo and him leaving, people think he won't leave. Amorim don't like him. He's not playing him. Kobbie's position is probably either in a midfield three or as a number 10. There's no way he's playing in number 10 when we're starting 5 number 10s and he's not one of them. At the weekend versus Fulham, let this sink in. We started Mount, Ahmad, Kuna, Umbuemo and Bruno. We're starting 5 number 10s. And can I remind people, Amorim and Ineos, and this is on Amorim as much as anyone else, signed off spending 130 million quid on 2 number 10s to play another number 10 at 8 and to play 1 number 10 at right wing back and to play 1 number 10 up front. I don't care what people say, that's poor decision making. Then on top of that, you've just spent 65, 70 million quid on a striker who I'm yet to be convinced Sesko's as good as people think he is anyway. 13 goals in the Bundesliga, I'm afraid he's nothing to write home about, and we've just spent 70 million quid on him. And he's sat on the bench for 2 games when we haven't got a striker. Just play him and take him off if he's not having a good game. But there's like I was saying, there's so many stats going around that Amorim's played more games than he's got points. Leicester City have got more points in the Premier League since April than we have, and they're now back in the Championship. We came 15th last season. He's buying players in positions we've already got an abundance of players to play other players out of position. We're playing 2 in midfield that if you've watched any of my other videos going back from when Amorim first joined, I will say, unless you have 2 world-class defensive midfielders, 2 midfielders in the Premier League doesn't work. And there's loads of people who say it works at Palace. That's Crystal Palace. They finish mid-table every year. They're not a top 4 team, are they? Making this type of formation work at the very top. They're getting by with an athletic team with a 3 at the back system that turns into a back 5 or turns into a 4 in midfield when they're on the attack. The excuses, like I said, have run out. He's had a pre-season. He's done all of his talking. He's been there. It'll be getting on for a year in a month or so's time, I think. October, November time. He'll be in there for nearly a year. He's had 200 million spent. He's outed the outcasted players. They're not playing. So You can't blame Rashford, Anthony, Garnacho, them type of players anymore. Yes, they're a problem at the club, but this is not the conversation we're having. They're not playing in the teams he's putting out. And I want you to tell me in the comments, what do you think? And like I say, this isn't an Amorim out video, but when does the criticism start on Amorim? Because you cannot win something like, is it 8 Premier League games or 7 Premier League games out of the 28 that he's played? Any other season prior to this season and last season, if a manager was doing that, the fan base would want him out of the club. But because Amorim has come in with this new structure and talks the talk, and he didn't want to be here, and he's not had a pre-season, and he's changing the system, he's been allowed a free ride up until this point. But if we get 10 games into this season and we're mid-table, 10th, 11th, 12th or something, and we're getting towards Christmas break, do you think something has to happen? Like, everybody says, change the system. We all know Amorim already says he won't change the system. But if he isn't going to change his system, he has to pick the right players in the right position. Again, I will say it. We had 5 number 10s on the pitch against Fulham. And in the second half, you've got Kobbie Mainoo, who's a midfielder, sat on the bench. Bruno having one of the worst games he's ever had in a Man United shirt, losing his head, throwing a paddy, and he's still playing him for 90 minutes. He's taking Ahmad off and putting Delo on against Fulham. I mean, there has to be questions about his in-game management, and it's getting to a point now where it really needs to work, or questions need to start getting asked. And we've got Grimsby tomorrow, and I'm not even going to mention the Grimsby game, because we don't come out of there by at least winning by more than 3 goals, I'd be very, very worried about this side, because I live near Grimsby and I know for a fact they are rubbish. When Man United going away to Grimsby, you expect a casual 5-6-0. If we win 1 or 2-0 against Grimsby and they have a lot of the ball, I would be very, very, very worried. But I'm also worried that we do go there and win 5 or 6-0, and there's a few different players playing, and the fan base gets overhyped about us beating Grimsby 5 or 6-0, and everyone's like, oh, he played so well against Grimsby. I could probably go and play against Grimsby and look all right. They're basically not far off being a semi-pro team. Like, there's nothing to take from that Grimsby game. If Mainoo has the best game of his life against Grimsby, it don't matter. If Sesko scores 4 against Grimsby, it don't matter. If Bruno has the game of his life against Grimsby, guess what? They're the type of teams he turns up against. Because I will remind everyone again quickly, 19 goals and assists in the Premier League last season, Bruno. 11 of them versus the relegated sides and Everton before Moyes took over. 3 penalties and 2 free kicks. He only contributed to 3 goals and assists against established Premier League sides, and everybody thinks he's the best thing since sliced bread. Until Bruno or leaves this club, we will never change the way we play, because he is a moment's hit and hope player. He is, I'll get the ball, I'll whack it forward and hope it sticks. I'll get the ball and I'll do a moment. And we all blame people like Rashford and that lot for being moments players. Bruno is a moment player. He does 1 or 2 things good in a game that everyone remembers. But over the course of 90 minutes, if you watch Bruno, he will do 10 things that are horrendous. And as a team, we tick better when he's not involved. when we were playing Arsenal in the first game of the season, we had most of the ball. It's when Bruno sat really deep and wasn't involved. When we looked good around the Arsenal's 18-yard box, he was sat on the halfway line with the defenders, not involved. Because if he got involved, he'd give the ball away. And that is just the fact of Fernandes. And I see it in the fan base now. A lot of people are cottoning on to this. I have said this about Bruno for 2 or 3 years. You can go watch my channel backwards. Bruno has not changed. He's not got worse. Bruno's the same Bruno he was 2 or 3 years ago. He just got away with it then, and he doesn't get away with it now. And I saw a really good super chat on a channel a couple of days ago that said the club need to make a choice. Either Amorim stays or Bruno stays, because both of them together at this club means we're going nowhere. So there's a question for you in the comments if you're this far in the video, and where I will end it is, would you keep Amorim or would you keep Bruno? Tell me in the comment who and why. And I'm going to leave the video there. But the crux of it is Amorim has to start winning football matches. And Grimsby and Burnley are not the ones to judge him on. It's the 5 after that against good Premier League teams. How many games can we string together that are not versus relegated or promoted teams or teams from lower leagues? Established Premier League teams we cannot beat under Ruben Amorim, and it is a huge, huge, huge problem. And if we do not buy a midfielder in this transfer window, we are not finishing in Europe. That is a guarantee. So be prepared that if by this time next week a midfielder is not in this club, to be finishing 8th, 9th, 10th or below again. And yes, I am finishing this time, so let me know in the comments, Amorim or Bruno, whose side are you on? And hit me up on the next video. Peace.